Time being 7 o'clock, I'll call the Ripon Area Fire District Board meeting to order. Roll call, Mr. Page. Here. Mr. Wirch. Here. Mr. Hanson. Here. Mr. Schwab.
Schatzinger, you got it.
You know, I even practiced before I found my way in.
Here.
Mr. Orgula.
Here.
And Mr. Gatsky.
Here.
Also present is Chief Saul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
Any corrections to the agenda? If not, we'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public comment? No one else is present. Approved secretary's report? I don't believe we have a...
Yeah, I thought I did, but I'll bring them both next month.
Okay. We'll have those next month. Treasurer's report. Everybody get a copy of the financials now?
Did you ever find out with our check?
I did text you, and I called you, and the check did clear. We just missed it from the bank. It was put in the bank in October, basically shortly after it was issued. So,
Cleared after the 15th.
correct, so it was clear on the 15th, and it was put in there, I think on the 11th or 12th. So, I did text you that though, a couple times, back and forth. Really, if you guys got questions on the accounts payable, the Winnebago on page 2 at the very bottom, that Winnebago waste was, we had to have the, what do you call it, the grease trap cleaned out. It hadn't been cleaned out in a long time, and so that's what that was. And going back on page 1, the CNS flooring installation was some carpet installation that was done in the station. And then Kim Davis, that was reimbursement for some job postings that she had done for us, for the part-time firefighters. Other than that, I think everything's, there was I'll point out one more thing, Ripon Ace Hardware, Yardbird seasoning pellets, you'll see that shouldn't have been bought under the fire district, so we returned that, and that was returned and credited back. So otherwise, there's nothing else out of the ordinary that I feel I need to point out unless you have questions.
Any questions or comments on the financials?
What was the input module on the 2005 Pierce from Ryan? What is the module? That was HQ. an electronic module Okay. that went out. They're very common going out. Actually, Marquezan, I know that runners and Marquezan Fire, they replaced 6 over the last few years. So we've been really fortunate. So, but it's an electrical component that goes out. So thank you.
Kind of lucky you could get one.
Yeah.
There's
It sat out of service for like a week because of that. So, but I'm sorry, I don't have nothing else.
There's no other questions or comments on financials. We'll look for a motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve treasurer's report and accounts payable for
Is there a second to that motion?
a second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Status on outstandings?
Kind of the normal, but as in now we're getting to tax season, tax intercept program. I will be sending some of these to collections here in the next couple of weeks, communicate with them again. So some of these hopefully will be something in the next couple months here.
I would like to discuss something on the outstanding collectibles. These are the ones that came back, we don't even have a correct address for them. They either moved or they gave us a fake address or whatever, but, there's,
Usually 1 or 2 a month almost, something like that.
but it's the same ones all the time, so I don't know what we can do about it.
Again, those will be probably the ones being sent to the collection, because if we have anything, they may be able to do something with the driver's license, with social security, those kinds of things, so
Okay,
hopefully they can collect something without the address per se,
okay,
because I've gotten the same things back from my letters,
okay.
so
All right.
Are those?
So you get all this too?
when I do like a collection letter myself, yeah.
Oh,
Besides the bill.
okay, yeah. So, but we get them constantly, and even somebody wrote, on theirs,
They don't live here
Like-
anymore, I've seen it all.
3 initials, so, but, yeah, so the people are just getting upset, obviously, they're getting them, but then the person doesn't even live there.
Yeah.
So, okay, I just wanted to see what you wanted me to do.
Why don't you bring me those, Tim, so I can compare to the one that I have.
There's only one in here that's.
Moving on to the chief's report.
Fire inspections update, all but 3 inspections have been completed, they're ongoing. So that's where we're at with that. One on cooperative, and that's been documented. Projects upstairs, garage grounds, there's only upstairs, we've made a little progress. It's somewhat livable for the members. Staffing update, 22 members on the department. That includes the chief and deputy chief. We have 8 part-time people hired. The part-time is working well. We need to hire a few more, obviously. Our paid-on-call members are really helping out with that. So that's good, but we're running into a problem with that because they're limited in the number of hours that they can work. So we're working through that, we're watching it as we go along, and so that's the staffing update.
Can I say a quick
We are-
question with the staffing?
Yes,
Can you remind me, what are some of the things that you're able to ask the paid on call to do? For example, I don't know if they'd be qualified, but I think of like the posting for Indeed.com. Something like that. Are you able to tell them to do, sort of these odds and ends? Not that you'd have them do that now because they're already hired, so you don't need to do that specific task. But can the paid on call do at
I guess
will
I'm
tasks?
confused what you're asking.
When we first hired the paid on call, I thought the idea was that they could be doing some tasks around the department to save some money.
The part-timers, you mean?
Isn't that what we're talking about?
Paid on
Yeah.
promise. versus
Yeah.
part-time.
Yeah, the paid on premise part-time people, yeah, I mean, they do a lot of work. That's what this logbook is. This logbook keeps track of everything they do every day that's in here. So if anybody ever has any questions, everything's documented. And so is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I was. And in fact, for example, like the posting on Indeed.com. Again, maybe we're not posting more because if we already hired them, we're not going to do that specific activity. But is that an example? I said that, we were charged for that. I get that. But are you able to assign tasks like that for them to do? Or is there a limit of the types of tasks that you can ask them to do?
Posting of the job, you mean?
Clerical work
Yeah.
versus actual working on the engines and
Yeah,
that
that's
type
my
of stuff?
question.
I would rather have them on the engines.
Well, I mean, they're doing,
Like clerical work.
they're doing a lot. They're
Yeah.
doing a lot in the station. I'm telling you, they are I have to tell them to take a break. I have to tell them to stop. There's been so much, and we're really, if you walked out there now, our equipment, our maintenance, our things that weren't in place before are in place now.
Got it.
They were out doing public education for teaching in the schools for 8 hours a week ago. So they were there all morning, and then they had lunch, and then they had on a call, and then they were there back there in the afternoon. So there's always tasks that they're doing.
Great.
But they also have their personal time too. They're here for 10 hours. So, but, you know, there's days we don't have them. There's days we just have, Dennis Miller has 51 at home. Those are, we have bad days too, staffing. So
Yeah.
it's not consistently consistent. Does that make sense?
It does, and my colleague just said, I'd rather have him be, you know, doing stuff, perhaps more physical than clerical. Of course, if there is things to do, you know, that fits their skills, I would too. But I guess the point was, when we first hired them, we were thinking, oh, they can, you know, do things that are needed, and we didn't have them before. So I didn't know that there's other tasks
I think-
that are needed.
I think what you're asking is the Indeed.com, saving that money from advertising. That's not the person we're paying to advertise. That's the person who does the advertising for us. But it's the fee that they charge us. So whether we were doing it or she was doing it, we're still gonna get that fee. Does
Got
that
it.
make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, all right.
So that
I
was a
guess
twofold question, I guess. That was good, you just answered it.
Yeah, okay.
There's no way we could have avoided that fee.
the more we
That's
talk,
good.
correct, the more we talked about it, the more I understood what you're asking.
But in general, I wanted to know, are you able to tell them what to do? And it sounds like you can. Yeah, to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. And if you have any questions.
And it sounds
you
like they're
can look
busy.
through- You can look through this.
That's good to see, thank you.
Yep. Oh, where did we go with that?
Call volume.
Call volume. We ended the year with 405 calls this year, which is, it's a lot more than last year. 37 of those calls, we have to remember, were storm-related calls from when we had the straight line winds come through. That was 37 calls in the 24 hours. So, and you gotta remember, everything that happens like that gets a call number. Just like when the police go on a call, they get a call number. So, but our requests for service have gone up, obviously, so, over the last few years. Staffing up there, I need to go back to that for a second. We've had, Chief Engineer Kleppert, has retired effective January 10th. He had 43 years of service in, and so I want to thank him for his years of service. He's done a lot for the fire department, maintenance-wise, always keeping up on the rigs and teaching our drivers how to drive. So I want to thank Chief Engineer Kleppert for that. We had another retirement, which was Captain Barry Talley. He retired due to health and reasons. So thank you to him too for his years. I believe he was here 4 years, if I'm correct. Firefighter Dan Sow has resigned. He was sick with COVID. He teaches full-time. He has 7 kids. He's, as he's related to me, he loves the department. He loved being here. He really struggled with the decision, but he just doesn't have the time. And so those were 3 losses we've gotten in the last, 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So, so with that being said, that's, we're going to be doing some aggressive recruiting for our paid on call program also. And we're gonna spend a little bit of money to do that. That money's should be well spent. One of the ideas that we're working on now is if you go to the Marcus Theater in Ripon, you'll probably see my face and you'll listen to me for 2 minutes talk while you're eating your popcorn and waiting for your movie to start. Trying to reach out to everybody to get to the community, because that's where the community goes. The community goes to the movie theater. We get that out. We need to get, we're gonna use banners, we're gonna use other things that help us help your neighbor, and become a paid on call firefighter. And we'll see where that goes. I will say that, and I've really started looking at where and why people have left, and all the people we've had on the hook, and they're on the hook or they're here, but they leave because they don't have time, or they don't join because they don't have time to do all the requirements, go to all the schooling. And, you know, we're getting notices that they're, got an email a few weeks ago that they're gonna up the hours for firefighters, for firefighter school. So it's, you know, and everybody's hurting like we are. Everybody's hurting like we are. So, but the part-time program has really helped us out a lot. So, grant applications, we're investigating the SAFER grant. Go ahead, did you?
I have a question on the calls.
Yeah.
Every month, we see this activated fire alarm. What does that actually do? What do you actually do for that?
We respond with an engine and a chief, and depending where it is, a ladder truck too. So that has to do.
A fire alarm just went off, and is that what that is?
Correct.
It's
Correct.
not you guys were just doing it, you know, like just checking on it, or just.
No,
it
those
just
are-
says activated fire alarm.
Those are activated fire alarms, some are activated smoke detectors, you know, for any reason. I mean, we had one last week, it was guys cutting through a wire and they sparked some smoke and set off the smoke detector. We've had construction, we've had fires, we've had whatever. You never know what the reason for the fire alarm is.
Right, it just kind of,
Yep, we run quite a few fire
that
alarms.
it just says activated fire alarms.
Yep.
Just was wondering if that was from houses,
It's
businesses, anything.
houses, businesses, college, nursing homes.
So if somebody's in their house and their smoke alarm goes off and.
If you're in your personal residence, most personal residences have just their own smoke detectors. They're not tied into a system, to an alarm system.
So all these are tied into a.
Yeah, or somebody called and said, hey, I hear the smoke detector going off above the downtown store in one of the apartments, for example. Or somebody's alarm is going off in somebody's house next door, they can hear it, so they call it in. So, I can't, there's a million reasons and a million ways those get called in. So,
Just as, because it seems like it's a lot.
there is a lot. There is a lot. So, there's no way to get around it.
No, I don't mean to put you on the spot on this, but you have been on this board, I think, for a number of years. Is this a change in reporting?
It just
That we
seems
just
like
asked
there's
now?
a lot more on.
There's more of them.
There's more and more on
Well-
there. It's like, so, you know,
I see.
that's why I was just
Yeah.
wondering.
Yeah.
As
You know, you see
Overall
one,
call
two, you
volume has
don't
gone
think
up,
too
so
much
there's
of
more
it,
of those,
but.
and that's part of the reason.
as, you know, as our population increases and our calls increase, and as businesses open, our calls increase. And as people drive through town, whether it's a car accident or a fire alarm, you know, this afternoon we went to a natural gas leak order. Well, it was a passerby calling. We got there was no gas leak, right? But that's, so you never know what you're gonna find or not find. So, yeah, calls seem to go up every year, and I think they do that in almost all fire departments, almost.
And there's seasonality to it as well. With the activated fire alarms now in the winter with heating, way different with the activated alarms. You'll see November, December, January,
And
very, very high call volumes compared to June.
and we just went to give me a perfect example, real quick. We just went to a activated fire alarm. We got there, it wasn't a fire alarm. It was a carbon monoxide detector going off, okay? And there was carbon monoxide. So it's like, you just never know what you're gonna find when you go on an activated fire alarm. You know, so when we go on a fire alarm, we're going to a fire alarm expecting there to be a fire until proven otherwise. So, answer questions? But yes, it is seasonal, just, you know, whether it's grass fires or fire alarms or carbon monoxide detectors, every season has its seasonal thing.
Along with the seasonality, are you going to speak about, in the community, we do the wreath again? Do you plan to talk about that?
What?
The lights?
City Hall, green, red.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we do keep the wreath green every year, but in the last, I think we've had one time we've had to change a light bulb on there, so, and it just brings recognition to fires that are caused by holiday decorations or holiday happenings, but we haven't had any.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, so, but, all right. Anything else on that? The grant application, we talked about, applying for a safer grant, for staffing. It pays 100%. It could pay 100%. One department just got it last year for 100% for 4 years. Some of them are 100%, then 80, 60, 40%, taken over by the city or by the fire district after that. We're just investigating. We emailed them some questions yesterday, and we haven't heard back. So, but the process is open now. I'm not sure if this is the direction I want to go right now. So the part-time program is working right this minute. We have some questions into them, and I think what I'd like to do is I would like to ask that if I need board members to step up and be part of a committee, if I could ask you guys for your help to be part of a committee for planning purposes and more or less a strategic planning and a staffing committee. Because I think it's important to have that input on the committee. And that would be myself, the deputy chief, Lieutenant Brandon Mum, and one or two of you. So, but I'll get back to you guys more on that. If I need your help, I would appreciate you guys stepping up. So to help us out, it's important. Nothing on classes, and that's all I have right this second. I don't think I missed anything. Does anybody else have any questions?
All right, moving on, old business, retirement payouts. As long as we've got, can we make those payouts from last year's budget on that?
I think so.
I would like to pay Randy Culper gets $4,300. He's been here 43 years. I would like to pay that out sooner than later, just to get a clean slate, because there is nobody else right now. So that, again, I think that fund just keeps adding to it.
Usually we've always cleaned them up at the end of the year.
Yeah,
It's been past practice at the end of the year, anybody that's outstanding, if we had it available between the appreciation fund and contingency, we would try to clean those at the
But I
end.
mean, even though,
Because he did retire, and we could have earmarked it
yeah,
if we had a meeting.
I mean, I would just soon get it taken care of, so run it over this year.
The board, yeah. I don't see any reason why not to.
so I'm okay to do that.
We don't have to, but we can choose to. I would think to do that, though, that should be a board decision, all due respect.
No, I agree.
Versus the normal 500 or whatever we can choose to pay.
Right, and Tupper's gonna be the only one that's gonna have a payout.
I hope so.
I mean,
As of right now, yes.
Captain Tally.
Captain Tally does not. You have to be here 10 years to collect on the payout for the service award program.
Okay.
So, and
Yeah,
I would,
10-year term.
yeah, and my recommendation would be to pay Chief Culper in full because we have the funds.
Okay. Then we will look for a motion from the board. to
I'll make-
that payout.
I'll make a motion to do the payout to Mr. Clifford for his 43 years of service, and a total of $4,300.
Is there a second to that motion? I'll second that. Is there any other discussion?
Just where, maybe I missed it, where does that money come from? Which-
So it comes from, it's, if you look on your budget sheet,
There's actually a line item on the budget.
Yeah,
The
at the bottom.
last one.
Firefighter fund?
Yep.
for appreciation.
So we budget every year for it. And that number may change in the near future, or possibly 2-3 years, you guys can watch for that. Really, that number kind of, Jonathan, was, we understood there was an older firefighters, we understood we needed to put a little bit there because they probably would be retiring sooner than later.
Right.
The chief's point, we've been putting in there now, and to be invested, it's gonna take those firefighters that long to get there. So, kind of one of those we were putting in, and then we're going like this, and now we should see it come back. You know what I mean?
I mean, we have an engineer this year who's reaching 50 years on the department. I mean, that's a super long time. I hope he doesn't go anywhere. But he's a huge asset, so, but that could be another significant large payout. Hopefully not this year. They have a rule they can't leave until I leave. Sometimes people break the rule, but, yeah, so,
And the years of service is just for the Ripon Fire Department, it doesn't include if somebody.
correct. Nope,
10 years
just,
somewhere else.
nope, just Ripon. Just Ripon.
Good.
And is it 10 years? Can it just be over time with breaks, or does it have to be consecutively?
Well, it's in the policy, I had to review the policy, but it's consecutive. I mean, if you're out for a medical purpose or something like that, but you have to be in good standings and, you know, so yeah, it's, I mean.
The reason I ask is.
We'll give them a copy of the plan, then they can read.
Sure, I
It
can
makes
have the
sense.
policy for you. Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
And I know there was discussion about policies and procedures as well, so that can all come up during that conversation too, but we can get you a copy of the plan, if there is an actual retirement plan that was designed, we can get you a copy of it.
Because we're not here to change that plan, obviously, that's not the discussion on the table, but maybe.
But then you gotta deal with it.
But what I will say is, I mean, this could be helpful to, as we encourage people to stay in and come back. Maybe it's good if it's not consecutive. Anyways,
Any other discussion on the motion? Not, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. We will be going into closed session to discuss fire chief's review. Any new business? Anybody has anything they want on the agenda for next month, let me know in advance. Our next regular meeting is February 1st. And at this time, we'll adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute number 19.851C regarding consideration of employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of public employees over which the Ripon Area Fire District has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, 2022 employee compensation. One, to discuss chief salary, benefits, and annual review, and discussion on insurance options.
Move to adjourn the closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.